that I'm requiring all state of Oregon executive branch workers to be fully vaccinated on or before October 18th, or 6 weeks after COVID vaccine receives a full FDA approval.
That was Oregon's Democratic Governor Kate Brown announcing a vaccine mandate requiring government workers to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. But the announcement did not come without pushback. One Oregon fire chief was not having it, and he's now suing the state of Oregon, saying he's even willing to sacrifice his job. Joining me now with his story is the chief of Aurora Fire and Rescue, Josh Williams, and his attorney, Rebekah Millard. Welcome, guys. So I'll start with you, Josh. Why don't you just walk me through your story and tell me when it came to the point that you said enough is enough?
Sure. Yeah, we had been dealing with mandates over the past year and a half, just like everybody else around the country. And where I work, we've taken very reasonable steps to ensure that both the workers and the employees were safe and the public was safe. It hits you on a personal level when the state of Oregon comes and says you need to get a vaccine, when in fact I've already had COVID and have recovered from COVID, and I do not believe that I need to get a vaccine because of that.
So you said you've already had COVID. What was your experience with it like?
Yeah, I was sick. I was out of work for nearly 3 weeks, and it is not easy to deal with. And I certainly have sympathies for everybody that has it. But I recovered. I recently took a test, an antibody test, just last week. I have the antibodies. There's absolutely no reason for the state of Oregon to compel me to get a vaccine that I do not need, and I will not be doing it, even if that costs me my position.
Wow. Well, I mean, that's honestly exactly how I feel as well. I've already had it. I have the antibodies. But at the end of the day, even if I didn't, I just feel like it should be a choice. And it feels like very un-American that they're forcing this on people. And I know this must really be painful for you because you've done your work for nearly 30 years, right? Where you're putting your lives on the line for other people. And now they're saying, nope, you know what? Well, now you're suffering, losing your career because of a choice that you're making for your personal health, right?
So in 2020, I was manager of the year for Special Districts Association in Oregon. In 2020 or 21, I'm just too dangerous to respond. There's nothing to back that up at all scientifically. That's why I'm fighting for it, because I'm not alone. I don't want to be in the spotlight. That's not what I want. I want to go back to being a fire chief, just like everybody else in this country wants to go back to doing their lives.
I'm sure. Yeah. I'm sure. And Rebekah, what's the latest in this lawsuit?
Yes, so we filed a lawsuit a couple of weeks ago, and we'll be asking the court for, to block enforcement of the mandate. That's our next step, which will be a motion for temporary restraining order. We'll be filing that imminently, soon.
Soon. Okay, well, have you guys heard back from the governor yet?
No response from the governor's office. And if anything, I think the governor has dug in and said that having COVID before is not an exception. That's not an official word from the governor. That's what's been put on their website. So that seems to be the position they're taking.
Do you expect to hear from her?
Certainly they'll respond once we file our motion, yes. But I beyond that, I doubt it.
I personally don't expect to hear from her. I'd like to know on October 19th when the potential for me to get terminated or anybody else around the state, emergency services wise, who's going to get up at 2 a.m. to go to an accident? Who's going to go help a victim out of a car crash? Who's going to fight these fires? You claim that you're shorthanded on people now, yet people that have been doing this for years and years and years, you're just going to toss aside. It's not right.
It's not right. And do you feel like this is about the science like they're saying it is, or is this about something greater?
It's about something greater. If this was about science, why is COVID one of the only viruses where natural immunity doesn't come into play with anything?
Absolutely. And, speaking of what you said that you were taking protocols with your fire department at the time. It's not like you guys were just being completely irresponsible. Can you walk us through what it was like at the beginning of the pandemic?
Sure. My employer, just as most around the state, when we go out on calls, We're wearing masks, we're wearing goggles, gowns, gloves. Where I work, there was not one case of COVID transmitted to the public from a responder or vice versa. There has never been a member of the public that has transferred the virus to an employee. So everything that we have done throughout the pandemic continues to be done successfully.
Well, I just saw this. So actually, Oregon has given 24,000 state employees 6 more weeks to get fully vaccinated. They pushed it back to November 30. And these were employees specifically represented by the service union after they pushed back against the mandates. Now, for you guys, does this signal hope for you or the alternative when it comes to your lawsuit? Because it's not like they said no more vax mandate. They just like pushed it back.
If I could answer that, yeah, it applies only to certain state workers represented by that one specific union. And it's not really any kind of an exception. It doesn't deal with the deeper issue. It simply gives people a little more time to get the second shot of their vaccination. So kudos to the union for negotiating that, but it doesn't resolve any of the underlying issues.
Well, we're about to be out of time, but Josh, just what's your message to those like you who have put their lives on the line and now are pushing back for this decision they're making for themselves?
My message is hold the line. We are the front lines of this. We can call the shots. The people in charge can't push us around anymore. There's more of us than there are of them.
Absolutely. Well, keep up the fight, and we'll be watching your case closely. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.